What is going on, everybody? What is going on? All right. So we're here for the first installment of UPO or Under Pressure Outdoors Live on Air. Under Pressure Outdoors Live on Air is brought to you by Deep Roots Rifle Company. Elevated excellence rooted in integrity and reliability. It's your one-stop shop. I mean, from custom all the way up to any other firearms you need for hunting, getting out in the outdoors, and a lot of other stuff. Hop onto their website, deeprootsrifleco.com. Click on that shop retail tab and have a look for yourself. So, to kick this whole thing off, we're going to talk about some weather. And first off, the highs we're seeing right down here in the southeast. When you're talking about the southeast in general, excluding the panhandle of Florida, or the peninsula of Florida, we're looking at highs in the mid to upper 60s in most places, all through Alabama and South Georgia and all that. It's beautiful weather until you get to peninsular Florida. Then we're adding a whole 10 degrees, jumping up into the mid 70s, even in the 80s down south of 70, where we opened up turkey season yesterday. So we're into day 2 of turkey season as we go live here today. And good luck to all those guys down there south of 70 chasing Osceolas. We'll have a turkey report for you next week, kind of generalized across the southeast, and we're looking forward to having that on here. Have Jay Stone make a quick call in, and let's see what he's got to say. He's running turkeys all over Alabama and Georgia, Tennessee, you name it. He's out there chasing turkeys. That man's ate up with it. So to go from there, we're going to jump over to the fact we talked about turkey season. Like I said, it opened. Spring turkey opened today, south of 70, March 1st to April 6th. And then this coming weekend, we've got the youth hunt north of State Road 70, March 8th and 9th. And then regular spring turkey opens up here on March 15th to April 20th, north State Road 70. And then we go on to let the rest of the southeast join in the party later on in the month of March. So what are we talking about tonight? It's there in the title. What has happened to Woodsmanship? Now, the question, what has happened to Woodsmanship? That came to me when I saw the Mossy Oak ad. I think they were teasing a new retro pattern. More than a month ago. Where have all the woodsmen gone? They were teasing something. I don't remember where it was. But that sparked a good question in my mind that got me thinking. Where have all the woodsmen gone? Woodsmanship today, in my opinion, looks very different than it did to our grandfathers. With the amount of technology that's wrapped up in woodsmanship, from all the apps on our smartphones to smartphones in general, having that ready access to weather data right off the tip of your fingers is just absolutely insane. When you're talking like, if you read books like Chasing Trophy Whitetails, and they talk about weather in there, and he's talking about having a weather radio and tuning in and listening to the local, NOAA station for the daily weather update. And now you're getting it straight from your phone. You can get in there, you can look at today's, you can look at tomorrow's, you can look at that hourly forecast. Just having that information at our fingertips has really changed everything. It's crazy, right? So we've got that live input weather data. And you go even further into apps in your phone, mapping apps like Spartan Forge that are putting so much technology at your fingertips from the imagery side of things that you can almost feel like you're boots on the ground without being boots on the ground, whereas our grandfathers had to physically be in a location to see that. The historical imagery, the LiDAR that actually lets you see the terrain, slope angle, slope shading. It's crazy the amount of stuff you can gather just off those maps. When you're talking 30 years ago, 40 years ago, you were looking at having a paper map. And you had to find a place to get it printed or purchase it somewhere. And that was the only way you're going to look at a lot of this stuff. Having to understand how to read a topo map, how to, plot your own spot on the map to know where you are, find yourself where you want to go. It's that in and of itself is a lost art. And that sucks. But it's something we could all learn, right? And that goes in the same hand in hand. When I ask you with, where have all the woods have gone, how much flora and fauna can you identify in your neck of the woods, respectively? I mean, you take me and stick me out west somewhere, I'm not going to know what half the plants are. And in reality, I don't even know what half the plants are here. But I'm working towards being able to identify a lot of different floras and faunas, mainly on the smaller scale of deer forage, right? I mean, I can identify a lot of different species of oak trees, or red oak and white oak and water oak and live oak and all that different stuff. But that's just acorns, man. We're talking forage. You need to see the briars and the other tuber plants that they eat on. A lot of stuff they're getting a lot of protein from, and being able to identify those high priority food sources and high protein food sources like that to know where you're going to find deer. That's a big thing. And then seeing those sources and keying in on the fact when you're seeing the deer have been eaten on them, that's a game changer. But that requires boots on the ground. So I think personally, with trail cameras, they have ultimately changed the landscape of hunting, hands down. You started with the trail timer. You should put a string across it, and it gives you a time when the string was broken, something walked through there. So you get an idea of when a deer walked past, AM or PM. I guess you kind of had to guess. It wasn't digital. And now we've gone from that to digital trail cameras that send the photos straight to your phone, live, in person, right off the bat. It's like having a ring camera in the woods, practically. I remember the days when you had to put like 6 C batteries or D batteries into a camera with a 35 millimeter film camera in there, and you're getting 20 something pictures and then taking them down to the local Walgreens to have them developed, just to find out you missed a limb, and it's 25 pictures of nothing. And that was with a straight flash at night. And now we've gone to these no blow night vision style cameras. Like, that in and of itself has changed the game drastically. But I mean, what can we do? We have to adapt, is what we have to do. I'm not a big fan of cell cameras, and that's kind of a hot topic across the whole nation, with a lot of states banning them on public land. Boone and Crockett banning them from the record books, which depends on, I guess, whether you care about actually entering a trophy in the Boone and Crockett record books. But I don't know. I don't like cell cameras because it costs too much. It costs too much to be leaving out on public land, for sure. But they're getting cheaper. And then the reliability is getting better every year. That's on constantly improving. I don't know. I'll come around. But I think that we can also get too focused on what we see on camera, and we forget that the camera only sees so much. It doesn't see everything. Deer can walk behind a camera. Deer can walk past between takes. I mean, the trigger speeds are a lot faster than they used to be. But I don't know. I remember you can set them 5 minutes in between photos. It was at 20 photos or whatever. But then we went from that to digital cameras inside the box. We've come a long ways with trail cameras. So, and then that brings the question, like, if the technology we have is so great, why are all these companies going back to retro camo patterns? They look cool. I'm a fan. This is my camouflage right here. You see me wearing it for the woods. That's all I got. This versus some other flannel shirts. I might throw on a camo jacket here and there. Camo shirt during bow season. But even last bow season, I hunted in brown pants and a plaid shirt. I don't see it much anymore. Hide in the bushes, play the wind, and you're good to go. And that's another thing that's been, I think we've been oversold on, is scent elimination or scent control. Scent elimination more specifically than scent control. Scent control is a thing, 100%. Make sure the wind's in your face. Control where your scent goes. Scent elimination, I don't buy into that. But again, that goes back to if it makes you more confident, the routine of scent elimination or scent control or whatever you're trying to do, if that routine makes you more confident in what's going on, then by all means, go for it. Right? You're not really hurting anything, I would think, although you may not be helping anything either. So if you're beating yourself up over one little step you missed and all that, I wouldn't worry about it. I would worry more about the wind being in your face, sitting still and being quiet than anything else. That's killed more deer than, well, anything. So can you track a wounded animal without a dog? I love tracking dogs. What I don't love about tracking dogs is I feel like there is too much gray area. I want you to be paid for your service if you're going to provide me with one. I also want to know upfront how much that service is going to cost me. I understand the sentiment of the tip system, and I think you should be tipping a tracking dog handler if you need one, but I don't like it. I don't like the how much is enough? How far do they drive? Did they find the deer? Did they not find the deer? I don't know. I don't like the fact, and I've heard we've interviewed handlers on the regular Unpressure Outdoors podcast. Like I said, I love watching dogs work. Love the idea of tracking deer with dogs. My main issue, you see a lot of them, they say don't, go in, track up the area, spread the scent around. I get it. Makes it harder on the dog. But also, I personally don't feel as if I've done my due diligence unless I'm going in there and trying to find that deer. At the point that I can't find the deer would be the time when I would want to call him a tracking dog. I've made some negligible shots, as we all have, at one time or another. But using a little bit of know-how in the property or the area that we're hunting in, I was able to recover all but one deer on my own. The one deer that I couldn't recover was in a public area where we had to be out of the area 90 minutes after sunset. Admittedly, I probably shouldn't have shot her 10 minutes after legal sunset. You got that 30 minutes after sunset window. I honestly, nobody plans for a bad shot. But I made a bad shot, far back, got liver. I didn't have time to let her lay like I would have liked to. And about 200 yards into the track, we bumped her out of a bed and she piled off into a bottom and we lost blood. I know the deer was dead, and I know the creek was where she went. That's where she was headed to begin with. But in order to not lose my ability to continue to hunt that area, I was forced out of that public area and it was closed in the following day, so I could not return. Therefore, I lost the deer. The coyotes gained the deer, coyotes and buzzards. But other than that, like more specifically, more recently, I should say, this year, my son made a good shot on nice doe at about 50 yards with a 243. The second shot was a nice shot. He missed clean on the first shot. Got lucky. Second shot, she piled off into the pines. We get down to the hit site, no blood. Start tracking down the trail she went on, still no blood. And I got down on my hands and knees because that's the first place I'm going when I'm not seeing a lot of blood. I'm getting as close to the ground as possible. And mind you, this is an evening as well. So it's dark, got a headlamp on. And I'm looking out through the woods from my hands and knees across. And you start to see, when you do that, you can start to see freshly broken branches. You see freshly trampled leaves. Went past a bush and I said, she went this way. And my cousin asked, how do you know? I said, well, look, you see the leaves on the ground here? All the leaves underneath this plant that are on the ground are brown. These leaves here are fresh. They're green. She hit this, knocked leaves off. She went that way. 3 feet past that, I found a speck of blood inside of my pinky nail. And then more blood, and then more blood, and then more blood. 20 yards later, there she was. She didn't go to 60 yards, but she was really tough to find because she was in that thick pine straw, which I don't know if you ever blood trailed deer in the dark with a headlamp through pine straw, but it's no fun. No fun whatsoever. But what can you do? But that's a little bit of know-how. Having been there, having had deer, shot a doe one time with a 12 gauge rifle slug barrel, shooting 3-inch Remington Magnums, 12 gauge saboted slug, Savit, however you say that. And made a great shot, 40 yards. She wheeled, took off. It's like, perfect. Got it, done. Get down there, no blood. Made a clean pass through, just behind the shoulder. Never touched a rib. Broke ribs on the going outside. No ribs on the coming in. The bullet never expanded. Still makes a pretty good hole. I mean, it's 45 caliber slug out of that 12 gauge with the Savit on it. But again, I was on my hands and knees following pin drops of blood. Pin drop. Shot her a little high, which, you got to give that time sometimes to bleed through that higher hole. But did inevitably find her in the end. But I just wouldn't feel comfortable not putting in that extra effort. I'm not a dog as a first resort guy. And we've got coming up later this month for the podcast. Well, you guys probably won't catch it till either late March or early April. We're talking drone deer recovery, which I think is pretty cool, and how thermal works. And we'll see how that pans out. Again, technology coming back to resurface, right? That's good stuff. So, has technology hurt or improved hunting? I think overall, technology has vastly helped the hunting industry because it's allowed more people better access to the woods that we have. And more people in the woods is more people advocating for hunting. And even if you took all the apps away, just having the ability to know when and where hunting areas are open and being able to apply for hunting permits directly from my handheld device makes things way easier. So the questions we brought up. Camouflage. Who's camouflage really for? The deer? I don't think so. There's a lot of really cool camo patterns out there. Think about that for a minute. We look at them, they seem visually appealing. The marketing on the website says it works. And then we go out there, does it work? I don't see like a deer sees, but I can tell you that I can spot hunters in camouflage pretty quick. I think you are far better, and one thing I think we tend to forget to do is number one, you should be using cover. You need cover. Number two is use shadows. Sit in the shadows. I know in the late season in January and some of those Midwestern states, it's really cold in shadows. But the shadows are going to, keeping the sunlight off you, hiding in that shadow. You could sit there in anything but white and you're hidden. So even in white, you can hide pretty good in the shadows if you play it right. So you hide in the shadows. Don't sit there in the direct sunlight. You think about when you see a deer standing in direct sunlight, how it just radiates light. You're doing the same thing. The same thing. Especially if you're washing your clothes in anything with UV, with color brighteners, you're reflecting to deer. So hide in the shadows. And, down here in the southeastern Florida, I'd rather hide in the shadows than sit in the sun anyway. Because it's so stinking hot, man. Like I said earlier, it's already in the dang 80s in the daytime. Ridiculous. I know the temperature's going to drop next week. We'll hit 40s again. We're in that weird time of year where the weather is actually pretty nice. Gets kind of warm during the day, kind of cool at night. Not too terrible. So, you guys tell me down in the comments what you think has happened to Woodsmanship. Have we lost Woodsmanship skills to technology? Can you track a wounded animal without a dog? Can you set up and find mature deer without a trail camera? Do you buy into that's always the latest and the greatest camouflage pattern? Grandpa can. He didn't. Think about it. I would argue we look back and we say that was the heyday of hunting. I think we're in it right now. We are in it. And the quality of deer management and people, the major sentiment across a lot of social media platforms, the focus being on killing bigger deer, more mature deer, I think is a good thing. That being said, I also think that bashing people for killing what they want to kill is a terrible thing. But you do you, hunt your hunt, do what makes you confident, and enjoy being out there. We spent the whole day today chasing some squirrels. Had a great time. Didn't kill a single one. But we came home with 10 because people like to hunt squirrels and people don't like to clean squirrels. And you know what, buddy? I'll take your squirrels and I'll clean them and I'll take them and turn them into squirrel and dumplings, or the wife will turn them into squirrel and dumplings with butter swing biscuits. Oh. Whew. Mouth is watering just thinking about it. Next week, I think we're going to cover what's that saying to get you out in the woods, right? I know what mine is. I had it told to me a lot as a kid, and it's 100% true. Except I have a story of where I really, really, really wanted to prove it wrong. But I'll save that for next Sunday night, or if you're catching us on Wednesday on the regular podcast feed. Tomorrow morning on our normal podcast feed, or Monday, you're catching Hunter Rotarius, and we're talking Hunters of Dad, Florida Boy Outfitters, turkeys. It's a good time. Until next week, guys. Thank you.